What is it with guys named Chris anyway? Different towns, different bullies, same name. There are two boys, one against the wall, and one is holding the other there by his shirt. I'm glad to say it's not me this time. Chris is strong, much stronger than I am, with an attitude that gets him in all sorts of trouble. He pulls Steve's body away from the wall and then slams him, exclaiming something I cannot hear. You'd think this were happening to somewhere outside, somewhere where no one could see, but no, it's happening right in front of 20 other children. But no one's saying anything, especially not me. No one wants to be the target of this little rage-filled ball of ropey muscle and dim wit. Looking forward from my desk at the chalkboard, I pretend to ignore just like everyone else. There's a cacophony of childish piping about sports, about first dates, about The Simpsons, maybe. But I'm silent. The teacher has not arrived yet, and even if she had, I don't believe he would have stopped. One more trip to the principal's office is nothing to him. I hear a fuck and a fuck you. Then out of the corner of my eye, I see Steve get thrown to the floor. Again, I'm glad it wasn't me. But then I see Chris reach out his hand to Steve and say he's sorry, then lift him to his feet. The 7th grade is so confusing, especially when you have no friends. "The fuck are you looking at, Addie?" Steve says, and I realize I'd been staring at them. Stupid, I think, and I wish I hadn't looked. I always let my curiosity get the better of me. I look away, but I'm a dead man already. When you're a 13-year-old boy, you may want the attention of a parent, or girl, or a boy you like. The last thing you want is to stare into the eyes of another demented bully and wonder if you'll live to see tomorrow. Chris has his fist bared, still small, angry and pinched, but with the heart of a dying son. He's ready. Those knuckles bruised from other boys' faces, they retract like claws when the teacher walks in. But I knew even though he had softened in appearance, everything that tormented this boy was going to be let loose upon me at some point or another. At 5 feet tall, 150 pounds, I was chubby and absolutely no challenge to Chris. One of the few solaces I had was in my medal. Bring on the anthrax, the Megadeth, and what's this alternative everyone's talking about? Ironically, the first person to talk to me on my first day here in a new town was Chris. He asked me if I'd ever heard of Metallica. I hadn't. He handed me the Black album. Yeah, I know it's not the best example of their music, but rather than starting a lifelong friendship with Chris, it started a lifelong friendship with the guitar. Should I be grateful for this? I don't know. It's lunchtime, and another solace is before me on a tray. There's no simpler way to solve a problem than to eat it away. Crinkle fries with boxed pizza, Salisbury steak with mashed potatoes, fish sticks, coleslaw, tartar sauce, some disgusting concoction of childhood diabetes, with a brownie made of cardboard on the side. Then wash it down with a box of warm milk and some apple juice. The same cacophony of voices that ignored me before are overlapping with occasional calls over the loudspeaker for someone to come to the office for whatever reason. I look up from a half-eaten boiled hot dog. About the room is a cache of cliques, each of them dressed the same, talk the same, smile the same, and even eat the same. I'm not even sitting with the outcasts. I'm alone. I'm not even one of them. What is it that separates me from them? It did not occur to me till much later that it was all me. But for now, I settle on thinking of their cruelty. I'm reminded of gym class and how I'm afraid to undress in front of other boys because I'm so fat. That never stops me from checking them out on my way to get picked last for everything. I think of how easily it comes to them, having washboard abs and girlfriends. They shower and change, and some of them have pubes. How come I don't? It's then that I realize I'm staring again. Staring in that way that makes them all suspicious of what I already know. Delving into my mantra, I think, this summer, I will lose all this weight and come back to school, and they won't recognize me because I'll be thin and beautiful. It's then that I'll say, it's Atticus, and I'll have proven them wrong. I'm not lazy, I'm not gay, I'm better than you. Yet every year I say this, and every year I disappoint myself by sitting around playing video games, watching movies, and stuffing my face. I feel a hard smack at the back of my head. I'm stunned and I turn around, and Chris is behind me. Steve sits next to me with a wolfish grin on his face. My head hurts, but I think, why are you going along with this, Steve? This is something they'd done before. Chris sits on the other side of me with his own smile that cannot be fully described. He reaches his hand over my plate and begins to eat my fries. He says, over a mouthful of food, he says, "I'm helping you right now, fat ass." I move to defend my plate and Steve pushes my hand away. He says in my other ear, "Yeah, right, Addy, you can't stop us." Defeated, I think. He's right. Why try? Chris gorges himself on everything on my plate, eating it like a pig, gulping down my milk and smiling between each bite. And if I try harder to stop them, they'll do it again tomorrow, or worse. But I don't hate you, because Jesus said, "He who has hated his brother has My thoughts are cut off by another hard smack to the back of my head. They both leave me to clean up the mess they had made of my plate, while laughter echoes in their wake. I'm pitiful. Later on the bus ride home, I sit quietly in the front. Chris rides the same bus home, and he's sitting all the way in the back with the other cool kids, joking around and throwing things to the front to see if they can hit my head. I hate him. I hate him so much I just want to cry. The bus stops, and the driver lets out a sigh, glad to be rid of Chris and his merry band of nitwits. I still to this day have no idea why I stared him down as he left. But he noticed and said nothing. Maybe it was something in my face, but he said nothing as the doors hissed open. It was the first time I'd ever seen him walk to his home, even though we'd ridden the bus together for years. I want to see, and then suddenly, I don't. There's an unpaved path that Chris walks. Head down, he barely notices the dilapidated state of his surroundings. How can someone be so used to seeing dead husks of vehicles, ancient refrigerators with the doors torn off so some bored child, like him, couldn't get locked in? Tall wheatgrass and pine trees surround a single-floor lakefront home. The porch is caved in slightly on the left side. Over the loud tumbling of the bus's diesel engine, I hear the shouting of an old man from the home. Whatever he had said, Chris was visibly startled. It was a voice he did not want to hear, and he began to run. The doors hissed shut, and with that forever changing my idea of him. Through the window I see those claw-like knuckles turned into regular boys' knuckles, flailing in the wind, back and forth until he reaches the porch. I hear Steve from the back of the bus. "Grandpa's on a rampage again." And the other boys chuckle. Head lowered, he enters slowly, like it's his last walk to the gas chamber. I know I'll see him tomorrow, with all of his rage carried on his sleeve. I pitied him. I understand why he's stealing my food now, and from then on I did not fight when he stole from me. I merely pushed my chair away from the table and let him take what he wanted. Soon after, he got bored with me and left me alone. Maybe it wasn't so much the food he wanted, but to feed off my reaction to him. I saw him some years later, strung out on some tired cliché drug. He was asking how I was. From behind the counter of the gas station, I say, "Things are great." I hand him a pack of cigarettes and his change. He nods and looks me up and down. I'm almost 6 feet tall and thin. It's almost as if he was looking me up and down to see if his work in junior high school had been done correctly, or maybe he had forgotten about it completely. He asks me if I smoke weed. I reply, no. He shrugs and stumbles his way out the door. I don't pity him anymore. Thank you for watching. So my question to you folks is this: did you ever pity your bully? Tell me in the comments section. And if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Share it on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, wherever.